Folks, I just want to talk quickly about an Amazon EC2, and this stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. It was the flagship product first brought out by AWS when they started out many years ago. And folks, this here is a virtual computer. It sits on physical hardware in a data center somewhere in one of the regions that AWS has a data center around the world. We'll go into that there at a little bit more of a high level in a moment. On this here EC2, folks, you'll get compute, memory, network, storage options in various shapes and forms, folks, that come inside the EC2 family. And these will be dictated by various letters and numbers. We could go into them and talk about them for hours, but it's beyond this tutorial to do so, because it's a big topic. Like I say, in AWS, there's a lot of services, and under those services, there's a lot of integrations and a lot of ways you can configure them, folks. And don't get overwhelmed about knowing every single one of them, because again, like what you're looking at here now, there is documentation to allow that there to guide you, and good practices that you can follow to actually spin up only the architecture that you require to deliver your clients the needs that they want. That's it at a high level, folks. All right, you could put anything on it with regards to like a gaming server, a database, a website. You could use it for little processes, like for a short term. You could pay for it in a multitude of ways as well. You can reserve your instances, folks. You can book them on demand. You can have spot instances for short periods of time. These topics could go into a fan out of topics that you could talk about, folks, for days and weeks. I've never become fluent with absolutely everything in this ecosystem, because it's, number one, it's a big area of knowledge, and number two, it's ever changing. Okay, and there's people in the industry that are enthusiastic about it, like myself, could show you new ways of using these things every single week, building out new architectures. And on that note, it's probably the best way to learn it, rather than sitting reading theory, is get into it and break it. And that's what we'll do later on in this tutorial, folks. I just wanted to give you a little bit of theory at the start here, just to possibly clarify a couple of things. All right, so these EC2s, folks, are in data centers, and the data centers here are, as you can see, indicated by this key. And these data centers are in a multitude of availability zones in a region. And around the world, there's multiple AWS regions, folks. In Australia here, we've got one in Sydney, we've got one in Melbourne, and we've got local zones like where I live here in Western Australia. And that will be just like an availability zone. So it will only have a limited set of services, okay? And inside these availability zones, folks, it's one or more small data centers. All right, and within these data centers, there's physical hosts where these virtual computers, these EC2s, sit on. Yeah, and this is a picture of one here. I've actually been in this data center, not working in cloud computing. I was in it many years ago, and in there is a load of physical servers. This is a very secure location. You can't just walk into this off the street. It's monitored 24/7 by people. It's keeping all the infrastructure working and protected from the outside in a physical, layered security format, folks. Okay. These are the physical type of servers that you could see in there, folks. I'm not saying this is exactly in that data center, but this is what it would look like. These are server racks with, physical hosts that the virtual EC2 compute run on. And these data centers are in these locations here, folks, and this here is taken off the NextDC website, and you can see AWS is in the local zone in Western Australia, a region in Sydney, and one in Melbourne here, with a load of other different cloud computing services, folks. All right, these here regions, like the Sydney region, the Melbourne region, and the local zone here, they're all interconnected, folks, through the AWS network. It's thousands of kilometers of their own fiber networks that have been built over years of work, folks. And that gets all your workloads close to the edge of the AWS network all around the world. And then the last bound to whoever's using like a service is across the World Wide Web where everybody else is on. But AWS has its own network, folks. So it's a very useful compute service to get you to where you need to go with your workloads in a very, very fast, period of time. That's it at a high level, folks. But like I said, let's jump in and actually spin one of these up. I actually have an EC2 running here, and this is what it looks like in this EC2 console, folks. There is a lot of things you could click on in here. When I first clapped eyes on this, it scared me with what was here, because I didn't know what anything meant when I first jumped into like the AWS ecosystem. And EC2 is only a small part of the AWS ecosystem, folks. And there's a lot of things you can click on here. And as I say, the best thing you can do is click on them and break things. But we're going to spin up an instance here today alongside the one we've already got spun up. And all we've got to do that is click on launch instances. And we're just going to call this here my test instance 2. Oh, I leave that as it is. I made a spelling mistake, but will not crucify me for it. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is choose the instance type. Now we're going to choose an Amazon Linux one, and we're going to go with the free tier, folks, because you do get a certain amount of free tier availability for a year. But again, that's another topic. Costs, folks, you could talk about for hours and days. Okay, instance type T2 Micro. Like I said earlier, there's a family of EC2 instance, folks. They come under different letters and numbers. This T2 Micro is on the free tier. That's why I'm going to use it. The different letters and numbers that you will see in the EC2 family, folks, are for various things like AI, machine learning, databases, to name a few. I'm going to add a key pair to it here. So this allows me to securely log into it. I've already got key pairs. I'm going to use this one. That's another topic, folks, is logging in and doing things within your instance. But it's beyond the scope of this here tutorial. We can talk about that there in another tutorial. If you have any questions, like I say, about anything I cover in any of my videos, please drop them in the comments and we can go into them in more depth. Network settings, massive topic again. This would be a lot of what to do with security and who can access your networks, folks. Security groups, exactly what it says on the tin. You would want to lock these down tight until you want to release what you want to whoever you want to get eyes on it, get access to. At the moment, I'm going to lock this down to Secure Shell and that protocol to just my IP address. So I'm the only one can get into that there. And you can open these up to allow a multitude of ports and protocols and IP addresses, folks. All right. But again, it's another topic. The EC2 comes with storage. And what I'm going to do here on the advanced tab is I'm just going to encrypt this EC2 EBS. Encrypt it because it's good practice, folks. Okay. I could go further down and there's another drop down of an advanced settings. You could put user data on this EC2 and spin up a small website. But it's beyond the scope of this tutorial. I'm just going to click on launch instance and we'll see this instance spin up as quickly as that, folks. Okay. Once this turns green, I can then navigate away back to where the instances are. I'll just do a quick refresh and I can see this instance is pending. When this instance is finished pending, folks, it will be exactly the same as this instance here. It will have a status of running and the status checks will have completed 2 out of 2, and that will mean it's ready to do whatever we want to do with it, folks. Okay, but I'm going to kill these 2 instances off. I'm going to terminate them because I don't want to incur any costs leaving them on. I know they're free tier, but it's only for a certain amount of hours, and you get a certain amount of free tier hours per month, and I want to save that there for other things. So if I just select those 2, I want to terminate them, come up here, come down to terminate instances. It gives you another option if you don't, but I do. I want to terminate them. I'll just refresh there and you can see they're shutting down. And that is the Elastic Compute Cloud, folks, AWS EC2 at a very high level. Like I say, ping me any questions, like and follow for more. I leave this one with you and wish you all the best. Take care. Good luck.